Hey everyone! Today, we're hiking Yosemite's super popular Mist Trail. Come along and enjoy the walk with us. Alright, let's get moving.
Nevada Fall looks beautiful from this angle. The white water dropping down the rock face really stands out. Once you get to this point, you start to feel both how tall it is and how close you are to it. It also makes you realize how far we've come.
The view is incredible. And then you're right back on more stone steps. It still feels like the trail is making you earn it.
We're not at the top of Nevada Fall yet, but from here on out, it really starts to feel like the end stretch. As a first-timer, I can really feel that. I knew the Mist Trail was popular, but by this point, it definitely feels like a real hike.
The scenery grabs your attention, but there are still plenty of big stone steps ahead, so you still have to stay sharp. Why do stone steps like these feel so much harder than regular stairs? It's still uphill, but it feels like a completely different kind of climb.
I know. They're not uniform the way indoor stairs are, so it's harder to settle into a rhythm. Right. The height and depth shift a little from one step to the next, so instead of repeating the same movement, you're always making little adjustments.
That explains it. On regular stairs, you can kind of go on autopilot, but out here, every step takes a little judgment.
And doing that the whole time takes more out of you than just your legs. It gradually wears down your focus too. That's probably why it feels tougher than it looks. Yeah, I get that. It's less like powering up a staircase and more like climbing carefully the whole way. So it wears you out in a totally different way.
This feels pretty different from what I remember from last time.
Really? So does the Mist Trail feel pretty different depending on how far you go? Definitely. Someone who turns back partway and someone who makes it this far can come away with a totally different impression of the same trail.
That makes sense. Down lower, the scenery stands out more. But by the time you get up here, you notice the climb itself a lot more.
I get that. At first, it felt more like one of those famous scenic hikes. But up here, it feels like something you really have to earn.
So even on the same Mist Trail, it can feel completely different depending on how far you make it.
On a late stretch like this, it really helps that we didn't wear ourselves out before we even started hiking.
Definitely. If we'd hit these stairs already drained, they'd feel a lot worse. Even a little extra energy makes a big difference mentally. That's one reason full self-driving supervised was so nice on the drive out here. Of course, we stayed alert, but it cut down on how tiring the drive felt. Quick plug. If you want to try FSD yourself, EcoDrive offers rental plans. Check the link in the video description.
Yeah, this is where that extra energy really matters.
The more we climb like this, the more I get why you'd want to come back. It's the same Mist Trail, so what makes you want to hike it again?
I think part of it is that it never looks exactly the same twice. The water level changes, the light hits differently, and even who you're with changes the mood of the hike. That's interesting. So even a tough late stretch like this would hit differently, depending on how you're feeling and what kind of conversation you're having. It really does. Some days your legs feel heavy the whole way, and other days you just settle into the climb. It's like the version of you that shows up that day becomes part of the memory too.
That makes sense. So it's not just about following the same route again. The conditions turn it into a different experience, and that's part of why you want to come back.
Same Mist Trail, different day every time.
I really get that now. On a stretch like this near the end, it almost feels like your mindset gets tested more than your legs do.
I can see that. They don't even look that bad at first, but once you start climbing them, every step feels heavier than you expect. That's exactly it. Toward the end, it's not always that your legs are done. It's that the thought of there still being more starts to wear on you.
I'm not completely out of energy. It's just that my brain starts going, okay, we've done enough climbing for one day.
When you hear popular trail, you picture something more scenic and easygoing. But a stretch like this really turns into a conversation with yourself.
By this point, it's not just your legs. Your mindset matters too.
It's kind of funny, but the hardest stretches near the end are usually the ones I remember most.
Same. More than the easy parts. I remember the air, the view, and even exactly how tired I felt.
I think that's because those moments hit you on every level all at once. You're tired, the scenery's beautiful, and part of you knows you're getting close.
Right. So it's not just that the view was beautiful. It's that the way you felt in that moment becomes part of it.
Especially when the view opens up right after a rough stretch. Moments like that probably stay with you even more.
True, the easier parts can blur together, but stretches like this are the ones you really remember.
Just looking down from here, the view suddenly opens up. A second ago, I was only looking at the steps, and now the scale of the place hits you.
Seriously, while we were climbing, all I could focus on was the next step in front of me. But looking back now, you can tell how high up we've come.
That's what this kind of section does. When you're moving, you get so focused on your footing that the size of the landscape doesn't really sink in until you get a second.
Exactly. A minute ago, it just felt hard. But looking at it like this makes me realize how much we've actually climbed.
And it's not just that the view is beautiful. You feel it more because you can actually see how high you've climbed.
Right. It feels less like a view you're just looking at, and more like part of the whole climb you went through to get here.
This last stretch really stuck with me. It wasn't just the views. It was realizing how much we'd climbed to get here.
Same here. Those steps were tough, but that made the glimpses of Nevada Fall and the views opening up below us feel even more memorable.
Right. The Mist Trail is famous for a reason, but once you get this far up, you really start to see its more serious side. The challenge is part of what makes this stretch so rewarding.
We've still got a little more to go before the top of Nevada Fall, but it really feels like we're getting closer now.
Thanks for watching. Next time, we'll keep making our way toward the top of Nevada Fall. See you in the next one.